Welcome everybody, Meredith Cowley here from Custom B&B Hosting. So happy to be back. It's been a while since I've done a guest Facebook Live. I'm very happy to be here. We are going to record it here with a special guest today. We'll then put it onto our upcoming podcast. Yes, I'm going to be putting all of these interviews into a podcast space. It's coming and onto YouTube. So let us know if you're watching right now. Say good day, give us a like, or when you're watching it on the replay, say replay, tell us where you are today, and certainly give us a like. But let's get into it and welcome our wonderful guest, Tracey Northcott. I am so excited to have you here. I have been listening to you on Clubhouse when I get on there. I have been, and that's where I discovered you. And then Julie George endorses you immensely. We love her here in Australia. And so now, and then I've delved into the value that you have. And I'm just very grateful that you're joining us here today and happy to share it with us. So thank you. I'm going to now ask you to introduce yourself, and because you're in Tokyo. So give us that context. That'd be amazing.
Sure. Thank you, Meredith. It's a real honor to be here, and I'm thrilled to be hanging out. And it's good to be talking to another Aussie. So yes, I'm a little Aussie girl who's been living in Tokyo for 21 years. So I've been here a little while, and I first came. I was in my 20s, and I came to work with my brother, who's a software engineer. And so, we run a software company, which we still do. But I got into the short rentals about 10 years ago when my now 10-year-old was a baby. And I got into it because we're getting so many visitors. Everyone, I'd been here for already a decade, but and hardly anyone came to visit me. But as soon as I had the baby, it's like, grandparents had to come up, and it's just like, oh, okay, I'm here too. So
yeah. What about me? Yep.
What about me?
Yeah.
So we needed a place to put them, and so that's how I sort of fell into this business, which was kind of fun, and it's just been a real ride since then.
Yeah, it's so you grew though pretty quickly or slowly, but you've certainly grown from your one little apartment that you rented out for your family to
Yes.
And you've really come to understand the Tokyo and Japan market incredibly well, I imagine.
Also the hospitality market, so what I've sort of thought is that, we're in a people business, and that translates borders, and it translate languages, and yes, I can get a bit woo-woo and a bit corny about this, but, I do honestly believe that the lessons that you learn when you look after people where they sleep is one that are globally, they're global human stories. So so that's, I'm fairly passionate about that. But yes, there are certain particulars about Tokyo. But once you're inside a place, once you're living inside of a place, that's what's kind of important. It's how you inhabit a space, and how people, when they're traveling, inhabit a space very differently to someone who's living and existing full time. So they're the kind of lessons that I've learned.
Yeah, give us an example when you're thinking about that. Yeah, the way they inhabit the space. Where does your mind go? What do you think about?
Well, first of all, I think about I think about who's coming. And like I said, I fell into this by accident, and I fell into the to who my ideal guest was kind of by accident, because I was setting up an apartment with that was going to be suiting grandparents, like my parents. They're a little bit older, they're coming to Japan, so what are the things that they need? They can't sleep on the floor. Like, traditionally when you go to a Japanese house, you would sleep on the floor on a rolled out mattress, on a futon. But my father's had hip replacement, 2 knees, not going to happen. So I was really setting up the place for the needs of my of that particular demographic, and it just turns out that there's a lot of people who sort of fit the same needs. So the sort of things they needed were, they needed a place to have to have breakfast. They needed to be fully fitted out so that they could have a Western breakfast. They needed a a proper bed to sleep in, enough space to set up luggage, because again, when you're in a short-term rental, you're not really living out of your closet, you're living out of your suitcase. And so there needs to be enough space for that. So you don't want to over cram things. You don't want to have too much furniture and too much big furniture. And you know, the other thing is that, you know, the people who are coming to stay with me, they're wanting to go and eat out. So there's no real need to have to be able to cook dinners, for example, because most people are going out for dinner. But in case you do need to, for example, feed the children, if you're as a family group coming, then you need to have enough to make sure that they can feed kids. There's plastic plates. There's all those things that a person would need, and you basically put their skin on and walk through the house and go, well, what are the nice things that they would need? What are the little conveniences that they need? And so yes, if you're hosting families, you do need plastic cups and plates. You do need a place to put up a pop-up bed, for example, if that's what's needed, and toys. But if you're not targeting that demographic, then you don't need those things. So it's all about who you're serving. That is important to me. I think it's important when people are setting up a listing.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes. So I mean, it kind of leads into, well, what is your avatar, doesn't it? It's like, how are you serving them? How are you going to meet their need? But who are they? Who are they? And, you know, I guess what I do is, you know, I've now, you know, been going for a while, that I can go back and look at all those people who have come. I know their ages. I know, I probably can work out what their income stream is. I know how much they were willing to pay. What else are you looking to get your avatar? How do you can you just give it? I know it's a big thing, and you can go and you can share loads about it, because you've got heaps of information about it. So anyone, if you need Tracey's stuff, we'll put it in. We'll put her details below at the end of this chat. But you know, Tracey has a wealth of knowledge about this. But just give us one thing, I guess, about how would you start the process of distilling your avatar?
If you've been hosting for a while, it's just about getting curious and about noticing almost like the reactions in yourself from various types of guests. And recognizing that and taking note of this particular family were great for this particular reason, and they were a good fit for us. But this particular family, for whatever reason, were not a good fit. And it's not because they're bad people, or it's just that it's a wrong fit. And then if you're curious about noticing that, then you can sort of identify the traits and the individual the individual characteristics that make a good guest for you and your listing, as opposed to a different type of group. And so yeah, that's how I went about it. It was I noticed that certain groups brought more joy, it was more of a pleasant, satisfying experience for my business. It wasn't just about the money for us. It was also about, well, knowing that you've done a good job at the end of the day. So who's going to most resonate with my service and my properties? And the feedback that you get, of course you get the money back, but of course the feedback that you get, does fill you up and does keep you going when the days are hard. So just noticing who gives you that feeling and who doesn't. It's a very unscientific way, but that's the start. And then you can just be mindful and just keep noticing, and let your instincts take over. And not judging a book by its cover as well. That's the other thing.
Such a lovely way to look at it, that is about intuition and not always about analysis.
Correct.
And you do analyze what but intuitively you can go, actually, this person fits for me, and I really liked when they came to stay at our house, or I really liked this kind of, well, why? That's right. That's such a lovely way to consider it, because I think there's so much pressure to do your analysis and know your numbers, know your people, all that kind of stuff. But sometimes that's not our strength immediately. You got to craft those skills a little bit, Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And that part of being a wholehearted host, do you think, is that, I've noticed you've talked recently about being a wholehearted host. That really resonates with me. I have a social work background. I understand about kind of having that wholehearted approach to life. Yeah, can you talk a bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, I guess I just am trying to represent the hosts, and give a place for other hosts like me who are not all about the numbers. There are plenty of people, on Clubhouse, on podcasts, and other people. They're all about the numbers, getting the next deal, maximizing the ROI, doing this, doing that. But it was a couple of, like, maybe a year into the business that, I just sat back and just went, and I really noticed that I was getting so much more out of the business from the numbers, from just the numbers, and from just the salary, and that's when I really sort of embraced the idea of being hospitality focused, because I was really proud about what I was doing. I was out there and saying, yeah, I look after people where they sleep, and I help them when they come into town, and that really did fill me up.
Yep.
And it wasn't about nickel and diming and all the rest of it. And at the end of the day, it's more than the money. And I don't want to sort of put aside the fact that this is a business, and yes, there are lots of ways that you can maximize your profit, and I'm all about that as well. But there's just something more, and I just wanted to make the blog, and whenever I'm appearing or whether I'm helping clients, is to really represent the sort of hosts who also feel this way, and the clients that I help, they also feel this way. So,
Yeah.
if you're a real numbers person, if you're all about the numbers, I'm maybe not the right coach consultant for you. But if you're all about the hospitality and you want to know how to give a better guest experience, then I can help you explore that part of yourself without getting too woo-woo about it. I'm not really woo-woo, but it sounds a bit that way.
But they go hand in hand, right? I mean, yes, you can go down the numbers, but I mean, if we don't have guests coming, if they're not happy, if they're not having an exceptional experience, if they're not telling anybody else about it, then you're going to be, just relying on certain streams and avenues, and leaving money on the table, in my view.
Correct. The other benefit about putting yourself into the business wholeheartedly is that the people who do come and stay with you, they don't remember how much money they've spent. They remember the service that you've given them, and it means that you can be charging at the top of their budgets, and you can be charging at the top of that range. So again, you're collecting. You are collecting as much money for yourself. You're not leaving money on the table, but it's a clean transaction. People don't feel like you've ripped them off, because they get that the hospitality is a value that they appreciate, and they've gone away with great memories. They've gone away with a really good experience, and they then become your salespeople. They're then telling other people who are also likely to be your ideal guest, hey, come and stay with this particular host. They got me. They understood me. They saw me. They had everything that I needed, and we had a ball of a time. And so they're the memories that we take. And it's not just about how much money you've made over your life; it's the memories that you've taken away. So I guess that's the underlying principle between the wholehearted host, push. It is still about making money. It's still having a profitable and sustainable business, but it's also, bringing more job satisfaction. So many people have jobs that they hate, and it's just really sad. I think it's really, really sad. I love doing what I'm doing. I really get a lot of satisfaction out of it. And yes, I've built financial freedom for my family. I've built a beautiful house. But as well, I sleep well at night. I give good service, and I've made a lot of people very happy. So that's nice. That's nice for me.
What a beautiful combination about giving and serving and making people happy, but also having been able to take care of your family and provide an income from them, because short-term rental is worthwhile. Like, it is a worthwhile thing to consider for your properties, to do as a business. or certainly, with your investment, if that's what you want to do. Yeah. So tell me, you do have a very a great skill around branding, and it's something that you offer. Do you bother branding if you've only got one property, or do you only go into branding if you've got multiple properties? What's your advice around that?
There's a couple of things to consider. I mean, the OTAs, Airbnb, make it very easy for you to drink the Kool-Aid. They make it very easy for you to identify or self-identify as an Airbnb host. I'm an Airbnb host. Whereas what I encourage people in my orbit to do is to really consider themselves as like a micro entrepreneur. Who are you? Who are you serving? What is the product? What is your mission? And that's all part of the brand. And the reason I do that is that I learned I was kind of burnt by Airbnb, if I'm honest. And I have this sort of love-hate relationship. But it was about 2017, 2018. There were some changes in Tokyo, and I was one of the biggest hosts in Tokyo. I was one of the, I was making them a ton of money. I only was listing my places on Airbnb. Yes, I was, building that, I was really targeting my listings and everything towards a certain demographic. But I built my house on the Airbnb property almost.
Yeah.
And then regulations came in, and they were really tough here, really, really tough. And a lot of hosts were collateral damage. The Airbnb, even though we'd been making them lots of money, we'd been drinking the Kool-Aid and, giving great service and giving great hospitality and doing all the things that Airbnb were encouraging us to do. But when push came to shove, it was like, yeah, that's the laws, you're on your own. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Hey, hang on. Where's the support here that you said? Why aren't you supporting us in I want to be a professional operator. These laws are really, really hard. You helped write the law, like Airbnb actually helped write the laws. And it's like, well, why aren't you providing some sort of legal support to help us fill in these forms? I speak enough Japanese to get me into trouble, but not enough to get me out. And so there's a lot of legal documents, and there was a lot of boxes to tick and hoops to jump through, and we needed some help. I ended up having to pay a third-party scrivener, a third-party paralegal, to get this work done at a massive cost, because when I needed them, Airbnb just weren't there. So it was at that moment that I recognized, no, I need to obviously see Airbnb as a marketing partner, but I need to have my own identity. And so that's when I really started down this branding path. So branding is really just seeing yourself as an entity separate from your marketing channels. And when I talk branding, and I think, like I said to you before, it's not just having a pretty icon or a pretty logo and a name, Country Cottage X, for example. It's more than that. It's about taking ownership of your business, and knowing that your brand is linked with the unique features of yourself, the hospitality that you offer, and the life experience that you're bringing to the relationship with your guests. Your listing, because every listing is different, location wise, or whether it's location wise, or whether architecturally, or whether the way it's been designed, that's integral part of the brand, but also your ideal guest. So those three components make up your brand. Once you've sort of distilled that down, and you've got some ideas of, some adjectives to describe your business, to describe your the sort of hospitality that you're offering, the guest experience that you've got, and you can actually articulate that. That's then when you go and create the iconic, what's the word when you're making
Logo.
the graphics, for example.
Yeah,
Sort of
yeah,
they come second,
yeah.
because you've got to be able to have that iconography. That's the word I was groping for. That you've got to have those icons and those the logos, for example, reflect all of those things that relate to your business. So that was a very long answer to a very short question. So yes, if you're serious about having a business that is yours, whether it's a side hustle or something that you want to grow to be a full-time job or full-time employment for you and staff, for example, that it's a good idea just to really get clear on what product that you're offering, and that's your brand.
So yeah, so just in summary, the three things I heard then, part of your brand are, it's you, there's you,
Yep.
there's the property or the groups of properties that you have,
Mm-hmm.
and so that maybe their architectural features or whatever or their location, I guess. And then there's the avatar, the person, the guest. Yeah.
Yes.
The guest that you're focusing on. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, I mean, obviously some people in this group are investors and maybe be wanting to source a property manager. Would they be looking for these kind of qualities in a property manager? They've got a property manager who is connected to their brand, who is about, I guess, really clear about how they're serving people and how that property that investor has sort of fits into that brand, I
Yes. So
guess.
it's when you have that additional piece in the mix of the property managers, it's almost like the person who's delivering a service almost has two brands. That has the client-facing brand, so that's to advertise, to make sure that you're acquiring those ideal guests, that you're putting out that image into the market, and then the person who's delivering that service as a property manager has another brand that they're advertising to the investors, so advertising to the owners to say, well, I'm this type of host. This is what I do. And this is how I screen guests. This is the type of property I deliver. This is how I take care of property. And this is the level of professionalism that I offer. So that's something that you're showing your potential investors, which is a different face to obviously what you're showing to the guest, because the guest doesn't care if you're that you're reporting every month to the owners. I mean, that's not none of their concern. So, if you're an investor, then you're looking at the brand of the service provider being the host.
Yeah.
And as the host, as the service provider, you've got two brands almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What would be your tips for maximizing revenue, and can you give us an example?
I have so many tips for maximizing revenue. I've written blog post upon blog post upon blog post of this, because there's so many different opportunities, and there's no one size fits all. It really does come down to who's coming to the area, and also what are the things that you can offer. So I always like to start with, so obviously with your property, you need to be doing your marketing, you need to be capturing your ideal guest and maximizing your nightly rate. So that's obviously the first thing. That's standard operating procedures. That's, you need to be making sure that you've got your seasonality sorted. And then again, that's location based. For example, here we have a couple of different very peak seasons. I know what they are. I make sure that my pricing is at the top of that range for that particular season. So that's the standard. That's the standard way of maximizing that type of revenue. But there's so many different ways that you can add additional revenue, even up to 20-30% on top of your nightly rate. So there's a whole bunch of ways that you can fill your calendars. You can make sure that you are fully booked with okay, let me just start that again a little bit, because being fully booked doesn't maybe reflect that you are maximizing your profit.
Yeah.
You should be, you should have some, if your calendar is fully booked, then you're probably too cheap for starters. So that you need to be testing and tweaking and just pushing up to see what the market will bear. And then with the downtime days or the down season days, then you can get a bit creative and figure out ways that you can utilize that listing. So there are so many different ways. You can be, if you've got a great place that lends itself well for film sets or for location shootings, for even bloggers and influencers, someone who's a YouTuber, they need interesting locations all the time. So tapping into that. I find that it's been very beneficial for me to build up relationships directly with relocation companies, so that when they have people who are coming in, that I'm able to look after their demographic. So there's a lot of different ways to fill the calendar.
Perfect.
But then there's a whole bunch of upselling, cross-selling that you can do if this is your jam. So I'm all about maximizing the profit on each listing that you've got by understanding your guest. And solving a problem. Anytime that a guest has a problem, you can find a solution for that and monetize it. So, and that's all about getting to know your guests, getting to know why they're coming, and that's all very general. But just to give you some specific examples, I'm very clear in my hosting business that I look after families coming to Tokyo. So they have some really particular needs. They're often without a family support network. And so what happens if the parents want to go out for dinner, for example, and they've got kids? So I do a babysitting service. And I charge, and I'm providing employment, but I'm also charging an agency fee. So that's a nice little, and that's hands off. I don't have to do anything. I've added value to the guest experience. They love it because parents can go out for dinner and they know that their kids are going to be well looked after in the house by people who know the house, by people that are vetted and well trusted. So that's a pain point that I've monetized. Ground transportation, so transport in and out of the airports. Translation services I offer. Tour guide tickets. All of these things are provided by third-party vendors, but I've monetized those. But I'm very clear that these are the sort of services that are likely to be needed by my guest. There's no point having a whole big laundry list of a shopping list and no one's that no one's going to use. So you've got to be very particular about knowing your brand, knowing vendors that are also going to support the level of service that you're offering. So that's a way to monetize. Tours are great because, again, people are coming to my area. They're actually going to be wanting to do that. But depending on where you are, and I can speak sort of a bit more generally about this, is that let's say you have a cottage on the beach that lends itself quite well to a pop-up wedding or a micro wedding or a glamour picnic experience, proposals. All of these things are great. Finding out who in your local area as a vendor supplies this sort of service and having an introduction for that and getting paid a commission for that. It's a way of monetizing. Yoga instructors, in-house masseuses, private chefs, for example. It really does come down to who's coming in and what they're going to be needing. And also, I always say you should have something that's aspirational, something that's a very, very premium item, be it the private chef, be it the, whatever it is, but have it that it's a stretch, because that elevates, having something that's aspirational. When people are reading through your listing or reading through your welcome book, and they can see that and they'll go, oh, that feels really luxurious. Even if they never book it, that's still bringing that feeling of luxury into into the emotional field. So to be
Yep.
having that coaching term there, but it's bringing that in. So the guest is still getting a lot of the benefit of having that service, even without paying for it.
Yeah.
But that's going to come back to you in the reviews, in the repeat businesses, because they can see that you are offering a complete package.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of other things. It's really the options are endless, and I love to sit down with people and actually brainstorm
Yeah.
the sort of things that they can do, and then pick the ones that are obviously going to be the most profitable, that are going to be the
Yeah.
easiest to implement, that are also enhancing your brand, and not just like a nickel and dime thing. Charging $5 for an extra towel, or $10 for a
Mm,
luggage drop off, it kind of feels a bit icky, and it's not really going to add much to your bottom line. But adding something more aspirational, photo shoot, for example,
mm,
that really does add to your brand, and also adds more money to you.
mm.
So that's a way. The other simple things you can do, and I've found this through COVID that's been quite beneficial, is we offer and we do this ourselves in house, grocery services.
Yep.
So someone's coming, they're arriving late, they're arriving early, and they're not allowed to leave. We fill out their fridge beforehand. So it's not
Yep.
just the cost of the groceries, it's the you add a premium to that, so it's usually 3 times the cost, because it's got to make it worthwhile for the staff's time and also your
Mm,
arrangement. So,
yep.
and it's still, you're adding value, and people are happy to pay for that
Yep.
value piece.
Yep.
Again,
Sensational.
long answer to a short question.
Oh, I love it. You have just given so much value there. Like absolutely. I mean, we're going down the chef path at the moment as well for one of our properties, and I love and you've just crystallized why that is so significant, because it's aspirational. You're right. It's about adding that we're on a holiday here, and we could do this if we wanted to. It's not just we're here with the kids and we're going to go down to the beach for 5 hours and come home and wash the stand off and watch a movie. We can have a chef come. Yeah, I totally get it. I so much value. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tracey.
Well, think about it, if you've ever been to a fancy spa, if you've ever been to a fancy day spa, let's say you go to a hotel and they've got like a really nice sort of day spa, they've got the catalogue, and they've got the things that you can do. So they've got, you can go and get waxing done, you can get a pedicure and manicure, for example, and then it goes through, and they always have like queen for a day, or
Yeah.
the couples package, and it's just like, just having that on the menu. You might sell 1, 2, 3 a year, for example, of course at a premium, and when you get it, it's like, woohoo, let's pop the champagne. But just having that there is actually sells more of the down ticket items, for example, as well, but also does elevate your offering, and it makes it feel so much more luxurious when you've got something that's a little bit out of reach, or I will do that for something special. And then when you get people who actually buy things, it is a special treat, or it is a nice anniversary, or it is something that's a special memory making occasion,
Ah,
like a like a proposal or an anniversary or something like that. You're adding to someone's memory,
yeah.
and that's nice. It's just nice to know that somewhere out in the world, people have taking a little bit of me in their memories, and I like to try and give that to other hosts as well. It's a nice feeling. It's a really nice
That's
feeling to know
cool.
that other people are happy because of the things that I was able to offer.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Oh, Tracey, so much value. Okay. I have kind of a couple more questions. I guess I'm thinking though that you've just added so much to today's conversation that people need to take away that and digest that. Where would you have a final piece of advice, I guess, for investors considering Airbnb before I go into the my 5 quick questions?
For an investor looking at Airbnb, figure out your why. What's your motivation? What are you wanting to get out of it? If it's a purely financial thing, hook up with somebody who's going to be able to deliver the pieces that you can't.
Yeah.
And and focus on what you're good at. Focus on the things that light you up. Now, if you're, you know, if you're someone who really you're an investor, but you also really love interior design, then do that. Like, have that as a way for you to fill yourself up with something that brings you happiness as well. But if, you know, if decoration isn't your jam, outsource that. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to be everything. So figure out your highest level task, what you're trying to get out of it. If it's purely financial, then hire somebody who is going to deliver what you need, and let them take care of all of these hospitality things, which make a ton of money, but they are a ton of work. And if that's not your interest level, then don't try and emulate that. Find something that is really resonating with your goals and your time frame, and your time commitments, and go for it. But also be open, because I got into this thinking that I was just going to be renting to various people part-time so that I could cover my costs, and of renting this second apartment. This is back 10 years ago. So I started with one unit, just so that I could rent to my family and friends, and then have random strangers come and stay. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't really care about them. And then people started coming and started giving me compliments. So I was like, oh, this is nice. I like this.
Yeah.
And so I wanted more of that. And so that's how I started going down that path. Whereas my husband, who's also in the business, we grew the business to a point where he could give up his job in a restaurant, and he came and joined. He's not that way at all. He's all about the numbers. He's all about the schedules. He's all about the time frames and making sure that all the maintenance is done and all those things. He likes that stuff. And the things of the keeping guests happy doesn't interest him at all, and that's fine, because I take care of that. So know your strengths, know what you're interested in, and do that. Don't be a square peg in a round hole. That's my advice.
Wonderful, amazing. All right, I've got 5 final questions, quick fire questions. To finish off with. Love or hate Clubhouse?
Crack house.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, it's good because I'm able to connect directly with people who maybe feel a little disenfranchised by some of the other guys, which are all like the guys from America that are all about the numbers. They're all about getting the next deal and arbitrage and blah 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 blah. There's like, it's great that I'm able to connect with people and really help them dot those I's and cross those T's on getting their listings right. That the guys that are at the high level just forget what it's like when you're first starting out and trying to figure it all out. So I like it for that. It's difficult for as well, because I do find myself giving away lots and lots of value. And I would really love it if people actually connected with me directly rather than just coming and listening. I see the same people coming, asking the same questions over and over again. And it's just like, and I said to one guy today, and I went, dude, you've been asking these same questions for a month. What action have you taken? It's like, it's fine for you to keep asking the questions, but, you know, if you really want to thank me for it, go take action and implement some of these things that we're talking about. Otherwise, I'm just talking to the ether or using up too much oxygen. So sorry, again, short question, long answer.
Yeah, I love it. It's perfect. The book you're currently reading?
I'm currently reading a book called Suck It Up Princess by Natalie Sisson. She is my business coach, and she's amazing. She's a New Zealander. She's very smart, and she's helping me do more in my coaching and consulting business. So she wrote a book called Suck It Up Princess.
Love it. Sounds great. Might go and find that one myself. Your next travel destination when you're allowed to, when the borders open up?
Oh, it's such a sad tale. I haven't seen my parents, and my son hasn't seen his grandparents in the flesh for way too long. I normally take my son to Australia once a year so that he can go to school in the mothership. so that he can go to school with kids that look like him and sound like him, and he doesn't feel like such a foreigner in Japan. So yes, I would love to go and visit Australia, and so that I can see that and get, go and get some caramello koalas into me.
Yes.
I don't get any of them. It's so sad. I
go we straight. Need to sort that out. I'll send you some.
Oh, look, seriously, the first thing I do is I go and fill up on caramello koalas because they're the best things ever.
I love them too.
And Turkish delights, the fries, Turkish delights, outstanding. Yes, outstanding. But we love going to Thailand. We're big Thailand people. So yes, Thailand would probably be the first on the list. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah. Podcast you recommend to others?
This one?
Yeah.
Of course.
The right answer.
No, I really resonate. I listen to so many different podcasts, but I actually really resonate with the Thanks for Visiting podcast in the short-term rental space. I really like their philosophy as well. They're I think we're kindred spirits from different cultures and different countries, and it's nice that the sort of philosophies that I have, there are other people around the world who also have that. And I really resonate there. I listen to so many different podcasts. It's crazy. So I love listening to stories. I love actually ABC Conversations is fantastic. I really enjoy the ABC Conversations.
Perfect. Brilliant.
Yep.
If you had to give up one, what would it be? Chocolate or wine?
Oh, that's a hard one. I thought about this.
That's the question of all of them, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't drink an awful lot of wine. I don't drink wine on a daily basis, but when I have it, I really like. My husband worked in the wine industry for a long time, so we have this massive wine cellar in the bottom of our small Tokyo house. I think my husband wants to be buried in it, but anyway, he's got a massive collection he's from South Australia, and he was in the restaurant industry in South Australia. So of course it's all about the wine, and we've got a ton of stuff. So when I have wine, I absolutely appreciate it. Chocolate, I eat too much of it, but I don't know that I can't give up either. It's just
well, that's the conclusion, and fortunately, it's not a real thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Tracey, you have been a delight to talk to today. Thank you so much for your time. We will make sure that we put your contact details in the links below. Where could people find you? Just to say it out loud.
You can find me at my site, which is tracy-northcott.com. That's where my blog lives, and so and I've got a bunch of stuff that people can download and download and use. I'm starting a webinar series of helping people with their branding and just some things around mindset. But giving practical tools, but also some mindset stuff as well. So that's all at my my consulting page. That's where you find me.
Yeah, and people can engage with you if they want to do a full audit of their branding, can't they? And just talk with you in depth about hosting and what it means. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good jumping off point, because I can I can ask the questions that get people thinking, and then making sure that the image that they're putting out is the one that they're actually that's actually resonating with them. So the branding audit is a great place to start, and I can usually find an extra $1,000 a month through there. So because there's so many people are undercharging, they're leaving money on the table, they're missing out on these extra monetization opportunities, and they're also marketing to the wrong people and having stress. So it's hard to monetize the lack of stress. It put a value on the lack of stress, but it really does give you peace of mind when you're really getting the people that appreciate what you do.
Oh, magnificent. All right. Well, that is us for today. If this has been of value to you guys, please like it, please share it, please give us a message, ask us a question. I can shoot them off to Tracey at another time. Let us know you're listening, all of those things that the Facebook loves and we love. So we will connect with you again soon. Thank you so much, Tracey, for your time today. Been lovely
Thanks,
chatting.
Meredith. Great to talk to you. Take care.